All right, blessed day, soul family. Welcome back. It's another week, and we are at March 16th, so we're at that halfway point coming into spring. Great weather. What can we say? It's beautiful outside. Want to get outside, want to do some hiking, trailing, Tai Chi, some Qigong, getting the feet in the grass because that's the healthy life. That's the health, that's the lifestyle, that's the wellness. So we've got some changes happening here. A different background you'll see. I'm not going to have the images that I usually have because my system crashed last week, and I'm in the middle of arrangements and adjustments. Rolling with those punches, staying calm in the eye of the storm, not letting it influence too much my mental health. And it's Mental Health Monday, so that's what we're talking about today. If you're just joining us, we have talked about a number of things. We've talked about the mind, the definition of the mind. We've talked about, from Dan Siegel's perspective, the emergent, embodied, and relational process that monitors and modulates energy and information flow. And we've talked about the bottom-up approach to mental health, where we regulate body movements and experience a somatic effect to influence the well-being of the mind. We also looked at the second brain. We looked at the second, the gut system and how that influences the mood and mental well-being. We also looked at, well, I forgot what I was going to say and I didn't write it here, but that's okay. Oh, it's fleeting. But we extend that to the movement medicine is what we've talked about. But movement medicine and the bottom-up approach, we usually tie that into Tai Chi Chuan, Tai Chi Tuesdays with our daily Tai Chi practice. Um, so that's where we're at. Today I thought I'd do something just along the lines of basics. What are the basics of mental health? And interestingly, I've been contemplating and meditating on the aspect of relationship. What is relationship and its effect in our lives? And, this could be from intimate to family to um, community, could be nation, could be to a culture. What is the relationship? Maybe your animal, your dog. And then how can we apply that into the realm of Qigong? And it's my theory that actually Qigong and relationship are one and of the same and not too different because it takes time and effort to build relationship. And with Qigong, it takes time and energy to build a skill and to rehabilitate damaged tissues and improve circulation and energy. So along those lines, relationship is interesting, and that's something we'll continue to explore. I'm thinking about offering a workshop and an information session about Qigong and relationship because then that can help to build a foundation for other aspects of practice, training, and skill development, whether it's Qigong, Tai Chi, or Kung Fu. So, yeah, so let's look at the basics of mental health, and this is just a quick search online, but it's good, and I'll just fill in, some of the aspects of um, Chinese medicine and Kung Fu and Qigong, Tai Chi training, Eastern modality. But mental health is a state of well-being that encompasses your emotional, psychological, and social health. It's not simply the absence of mental illness, but rather a dynamic state that influences how you think, feel, act, and handle life's challenges. Interesting there for me is emotional, psychological, and social health. So remember that the Chinese scholars gave us the yin yang image as a map and as a lens, knowing and observing, identifying that what we see in the world is the material dimension, the yang dimension. However, along the same dimension is the yin dimension, that which we cannot see, the immaterial world. So let's just note that for this idea of well-being that encompasses emotional, psychological, and social health, because you can't necessarily see those things. You can see the manifestations and symptoms, but we can't really see those things. In fact, along the lines of consciousness, those aspects of life and living in self, emotion, psychology, and social health are of the felt sense, are are the subjective experience of the person in question. So, according to the World Health Organization, mental health enables people to cope with normal stresses of life, realize their own abilities and potentials, learn and work productively, and contribute meaningfully to their community. Cope, realize, learn, and contribute. Does that at all sound familiar when we talk about nature gong fu, the gong fu of internal vision, where we reflect, contemplate, and continue to live and learn as we dive deeply into the nature of oneself and the meaning of one's life? So, the key concepts here in our search are as such a spectrum that is not binary. Mental health is distinct from mental illness. Mental health influence has influencing factors and has a connection to physical health. So, being that it's on a spectrum, it's not binary, it exists on a continuum. Interestingly, if we review the yin yang symbol, that in and of itself is a little bit of a continuum. If you trace your finger along the outside of the circle, cut along the inside track, make the S, and then trace the outside of circle again, you are on what would is essentially a continuum, which means you can move from different states of flourishing, high well-being, to languishing, low well-being, based on life circumstances, even without a diagnosable condition. Distinct from mental illness, a mental health can be poor without having a mental illness, and conversely, a person with managed mental illness can still experience periods of high mental well-being. Interestingly, oftentimes people ask, is there a difference between Tai Chi? Is there a difference between Qigong? What's the difference? Well, Qigong's the umbrella term. Tai Chi Chuan and Tai Chi are Qigong. Well, Tai Chi is a philosophy. Tai Chi Chuan is a martial Qigong under the umbrella of Qigong. Influencing factors of mental health is complex, and it's shaped by a complex of interplay of individual social and structural factors. So those individual social structural factors might be genes, emotions, individual skills. In terms of social, could be the family, the upbringing, local environment, and relationships. And the structural is socioeconomic status, socio and economic environment, inequality. And so also the connection to physical health is that mental and physical health are deeply interconnected. For example, chronic stress or depression can increase the risk of physical conditions like heart disease or diabetes. And you know, you can have a high quality of life or a poor quality of life. In Qigong, we talk about quality versus quantity as those pursuits. We want a quality of well-being and a quality of health and vitality and a quantity of energy in the storehouse and a quantity that's accessible. So we make the decisions and the observations and the adjustments to achieve quality and quantity. Um, One thing I wanted to mention is there's a lot of talk about trauma, right? So, um, life experience and traumatic experiences can inflict and impede mental health and environmental conditions and living conditions, being uprooted or having to flee or leave your home, your community, your house, or something like that does affect, and we have seen that it affects mental health and has downstream effects. Um, Along the lines of basic health are also self-care strategies. So, self-care is basically what we need to do. You know, it's different from exercise. I'm relaxing. It's different from fitness, different from weight training. These self-care strategies can be like a hot bath or going to the park and lying in the grass, could be a warm cup of soup, talking to an old friend, connecting with a loved one. Those sort of things along the lines of what's included here is prioritizing sleep, sticking to a consistent schedule, and limiting screen use before bed. Staying active, 30 minutes of walking can boost mood and energy. Connect regularly, reaching out to friends and family for emotional support and a sense of belonging, and practicing mindfulness as it's a research-based and supported practice. And self boundaries. Oh, set boundaries, it says here. Learn to say no to protect your time and energy. So interesting things there that have just sort of come into our lexicon and into our uh, social frameworks and understanding in terms of self-care, self-help. Let's see, we know about sleep and we know about walking and that sort of exercise, but connect regularly. I wanted to go back to that because that brings up the idea of relationship when we think about qigong and the paradigm of mental health as well. What is the factor and what is the role that relationship plays? Positive relationship, not so positive relationship, um, connections being severed or severing relationship. So we got to look at that and think about that as well. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, as mental health started to become widely used, I found myself thinking about, well, okay, well, how is this defined? What is it? What does it look like? And how does it pertain to me? Because I'm not crazy, right? We all want to say that we're not crazy. However, since mental health is on a continuum, that means there's high states and low states. So, how does this paradigm of mental health affect me, and how can I use it, apply it, integrate it for my own personal well-being and my pursuit for continued growth? So we need to understand when to seek help. How do you know when to seek help about mental health? It's not necessarily taught in school. So just a quick search again here says extreme mood swings, withdrawal, major changes, or an inability to cope. So an extreme mood swing would be like prolonged sadness, um, lasting more than 2 weeks. Um, it could just be like, straw that broke the camel's back. It could be you're fed up or you've been bottling up. Another is withdrawal, contraction, uh, recluse, retreating, hermiting from friends or family or activities that you once enjoyed. Major changes like in sleep or eating habits. And I would say worldly affairs are major changes as well. And they do affect our ability, our sensibility and our ability to handle the stressors of life. And an inability to cope would be an inability to deal with daily problems or even routine tasks. And unfortunately, the use of the words like crazy have just perpetuated stigmas and kept this um, term more taboo and less accepted as a legitimate and worthwhile conversation. Um, One of the things that's interesting is that, yeah, that words that, and when we talk about, um, when we talk on Resolution Thursday, we talk about the use of words and we talk about the ability to describe and be specific. So words like crazy or I don't know what else are people saying, wacko, nuts, are not helpful because experts say that those words just don't provide clarity, and we need better ways to describe these things. And then also from the people that are experiencing these things, they need different words, better words to communicate what's going on when there's a mental health episode. So context and nuance are important. And it's only been, in recent times that mental health screenings are increasingly becoming part of a standard of regular health exams, which hasn't been the case in the past. And it seems like doctors are advocating more to have mental health tools and questionnaires to be implemented in regular checkups. So, so that's just kind of the basics there. Let's see what else. There's a little bit of change because of the mind-body connection, which we often talk about. Early intervention, trying to be preventative, which Chinese medicine always talks about, and normalization, which is interesting because this gets us out of our boxes and corners where we stagnate conversation and prevent that communication and energy flow. In terms of the mind body connection, medical professionals recognize that mental health issues like stress and depression can directly cause or even worsen physical conditions like heart disease and diabetes. What's the psychological and physiological connection there when there's a mental health concern and low state, and what's its effect in the as a psychological manifestation now into a physiological manifestation within the body, the organs or the muscles. As an early intervention, regular screening helps identify systems early and often before a person realizes they're struggling, leading to better long-term outcomes. And I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but this goes along the lines of the preventative aspect. And interestingly, the monks and the scholars knew that the mind can either make you sick or make you well. And this also um, falls into the early intervention falls into that nature gong fu, I would say, in that we can continue to learn on our own for our own selves when we need to make adjustments and implementing adjustments early before there's a physical manifestation because we are the ones that can sense the energetic adjustments, even if they are not physical to those around us. And finally, making this a normal conversation, making mental health a vital sign like a blood pressure or weight helps reduce the historical stigma that's been associated with psychiatry. So that's just some of the basics. I wanted to just bring that up. So it's another foundation for where we continue to go in the future with mental health and mental health. And interestingly, I want to talk a little bit about relationship and and healthy relationships within this conversation as well. But just a simple web search, relationship is the way in which two or more people or groups or things are connected, or the state of being related or interrelated. And, and this could be from romantic to family, professional, or platonic, casual, when one thing directly influences or causes another, it's in relationship. It could be statistical, a correlation or a dependence between two variables or sets of data. Mathematical relationship is a collection of ordered pairs where objects from one set are paired with other objects from another. But we want to look at healthy relationships, especially within the experience of the human mind and body. Healthy interpersonal relationships are typically built on several core pillars: trust and honesty, mutual respect, and open communication. So, just in thinking of those things, trust, honesty, mutual respect, and open communication, I would say there's an overlap between a healthy relationship and mental health and positive mental well-being, trust, honesty, mutual respect, and open relationship. Here it says having confidence in a partner's reliability and being truthful, valuing each other's independence, opinions, and personal boundaries as respect, and the ability to express thoughts and feelings safely and clearly is open communication. And on Resolution Thursdays, we talk about how important communication is as the free flow of energy so as not to stagnate that energy and impede uh, a relationship and to rehabilitate relationship, restoring and rehabilitating that energy flow and information flow in the relationship. So some interesting overlaps here, which I think are crucial in today's age, and with the events happening in our world. Something that I mentioned, I think in the past couple of weeks, is the opportunity we have as English speakers, with English being spread around the world, in doing our part to understand the limitations of the English language and look at opportunities to propagate peace on the planet. So I want to finish with this. It's called The In-Between by Martin Buber, who was a philosopher. And he argued that all real living is meeting. So while a dictionary defines relationship as a simple connection, philosophers and psychologists describe it as a transformative third entity or a sacred encounter, air quotes here. The most profound definition suggests that a relationship is not just something you have, but a space you enter. Philosopher Martin Buber argued that all real living is meeting, and he distinguished between two ways of relating, I it or I thou. I it is treating the other person as an object, a tool, or a means to an end. It's transactional. I thou is a sacred encounter where you see the other person in their full, unmapped humanity without agenda or judgment. In an I thou relationship, a new dimension called the in between is born, a space that is greater than the sum of the two individuals involved. And modern psychologists define the pinnacle of human connection as the rare state of being fully known and fully loved. Interestingly, the paradox is that most people fear that if they are fully known, flaws and all, they won't be loved. And the profound reality is that a true deep relationship is the courage to drop the seeming mask and be met in your authentic being. From a spiritual perspective, a relationship is often defined as a mirror or a pathway to growth where you have seen yourself, flaws and all, by some sort of mirror in the external world. And unconditional presence, it is the practice of choosing each other again and again, even when life is messy or the spark fades. And it is a catalyst for evolution. Some of the most meaningful connections aren't necessarily meant to last a lifetime, but exist to spark profound internal growth or help you reach a new level of self-awareness. So there's a therapist named Esther Perel who offers a highly practical yet profound definition. The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. So we'll end there and let me know what you think. Um, and we'll continue tomorrow with Tai Chi Tuesday. And hope your chi continues to flow smoothly. Until next time, embrace the woo.